Tim, it's great to have you on. Welcome.
Thank you. Longtime reader of the newspaper.
We're glad to hear that. And so you are an investor. You're writing a newsletter for investors on dividend.
Yeah.
And income investing. Can you tell us about that?
We'll say more income, all kinds of income. Dividends are a big part of it. But I figured this out years ago that I can't predict the future, can't predict stock prices. But if you know how income investments work, you can get a pretty good idea of what your income's going to be every month, every quarter. And if you keep reinvesting that income, it'll grow automatically.
So how do you pick these investments that generate income?
I just read a ton of information about all kinds. Whether it's individual stocks or ETFs or other income-focused investments. I read a lot. I've reached a stage, been doing this for 12 years now, and my subscribers send me lots of ideas, and sometimes they're good ones.
And so how do you evaluate these investments to make sure that income is there?
A lot of times just, basic fundamental investing. If you got a company that's paying you a dividend, you want to make sure that they earn enough free cash flow every month or quarter to keep paying that dividend. And, what could cause that to not, break down or something, and watch for them. I read a lot of earnings reports for the individual stocks we own. And it's pretty automatic after a while. You go, okay, they made enough this quarter to pay the dividend. They say they're going to do it again next quarter. And next quarter we check and make sure they did it again.
So you follow those individual companies. What about the industries? Do they get impacted by their industry? Do you pay attention?
Yeah. Well, there's certain sectors that are higher yielding sectors. Traditionally, real estate investment trusts, REITs. Because they're what are called pass-through entities. They have to pay dividends, basically. Energy infrastructure, pipelines, and that kind of stuff has been a good one lately because of the transition to suddenly we need more power to fund all these data centers. So we've done really well with a lot of energy stocks, and they tend to be more dividend-paying stocks, dividend-paying companies, financial companies. There's certain groups that pay dividends, and every once in a while you'll find one out in left field that has a good dividend policy.
You mentioned REITs. And these are the real estate investment trusts,
yes,
right? And you got some commercial real estate in there. And there's been a strange time for real estate. What are your thoughts?
It has been terrible, especially the property owning REITs. There's finance REITs, the one that either invest in mortgage-backed securities or actually lend money themselves. As far as income investments, mostly they've been okay. Their share prices have struggled, but if you're getting an 8, 9, 10% dividend yield, you go, I'll take it, because they almost become like annuities at that point. But for commercial property REITs, it has been tough. It feels like that they're starting to turn around a little bit. Now that interest rates have come down, the Fed's lowered interest rates a little bit, the 10-year rate has come down, and I think there's an opportunity for REITs to do better. But then we live in this world with weird investor sentiment. And when something starts going down, investors bail out, and they're not coming back until they see it. It's not impossible, but it takes a lot longer than you would think for share prices to turn positive after good news. One good example, they've been in the news a lot, Blue Owl Capital, stock symbol OWL. I had them in one of my portfolios for a long time, since they went IPO. Had done really well with them. And the companies, from my point of view, watching what they do, they've done really well. But they've gotten on the wrong side of this private finance meme, and the share, I had my subscribers, we sold out of it a couple of weeks ago, because I go, after the earnings, which were fine, and the share price keep going down, I go, there has to be some catalyst that'll turn this stock around, but we're not going to wait for it to go down another 20%. We'll get out and watch it from the sidelines for that particular stock.
You said some of the REITs have some high dividend yields.
Yes.
Is it more risky to invest in these? And what are your thoughts on people? What can people do to protect themselves from the ones that might be too risky, where you may not get paid back?
That is a huge consideration. That's kind of why I do what I do, to hopefully do a good job of separating the ones that they pay a big dividend, but they'll keep paying a big dividend, versus the ones that maybe that dividend is at risk. And again, understanding their businesses, understanding how they work. One example, I call them There are REITs that invest in mortgage-backed securities, and they pay big interest yields, double-digit interest yields, but they use a huge amount of leverage. And leverage can be dangerous. As I say, these REITs work fine as long as interest rates aren't changing. But in both up and down interest rates environments, they struggle. So I stay away from those. And then there's other REITs out there that they're making a ton of money. They're paying good dividends, but the market doesn't understand them. So the share price stays low, which is good for my subscribers. We just keep accumulating shares. If at some point in time the market discovers this and the share price doubles, we'll be happy. But, until that happens, we're earning a really nice dividend yield all along the way.
Can you give us an example of these kind of companies?
Yeah, one of them it's called Rhythm Capital, RITHM is the spelling of the name, and the stock symbol's RITM. They started out as a very simple finance REIT like a dozen years ago. But they've accumulated they're almost a money management business now. They own several management advisory companies. They're doing really well. And it's not a big company, but they're very diversified now. They've been paying a 25 cent a share dividend for a couple of years. Last quarter, they earned 74 cents, so almost 300% coverage of the dividend. But the market still prices it like it's just a simple finance REIT, and the yield is 9%. And my thesis is it's an $11 stock. It could easily be an $18 stock if it was priced similar to other diversified finance companies.
And what time frames do you look for when you are investing in these companies?
I hope to hold them forever. But there's kind of two things that will cause me to recommend selling the shares. One is when they stop working. Suddenly something happens to the company, they're in the wrong business, wrong time, or just badly managed, and we sell them out for a loss. And there's times where we sell for profits because I'm looking for a minimum yield in my portfolio. So if I buy something, let's say it's yielding 10%, and suddenly everybody finds out about it, and when share price goes up, your yield comes down, just mathematically. And so if we've got a big gain in something and the current yield is not what I like to see, I use like 5 or 6% as a cutoff. If the share price gets to the point where the yield is below that number, depending on the stock, I go, let's sell it and take our profits, because then we can take that money and invest it in something that's yielding 8 or 9% again. Suddenly we give ourselves a raise in our income. Then we've also locked in that profits. We've had over the last half decade, especially in the energy infrastructure business, the companies have gotten hot. The market is bid up the share prices. And one thing I always look at is dividend growth rates too. I'm not against a 6% yield if the dividend's growing 6 or 7% a year, because that will generate nice double-digit returns for you. But if we got a 6% yield and a dividend is growing, let's say 1% a year, to me that's not an attractive return potential.
So you mentioned that some of these REITs, the market doesn't understand them, and they're valued at a lower level than they should be.
A lower share price, yes.
How does that happen? What's the market thinking?
When the pandemic hit, it crashed high-yield investments across the board, every type of high yield. Energy infrastructure, closed-end funds, preferred stocks, REITs, anything that was paying high dividend yield, they crashed hard, like 60, 70% down. My personal belief is a bunch of hedge funds had leveraged up on them and got caught on the wrong side of what was happening in the markets. But things got so cheap. One good example, Starwood Property Trust, Commercial Finance REIT, another company that's really done a great job of growing their business. Before the pandemic, it was a $25 stock yielding 7%. But price crashed down to $12, $13, 50% off. And it's struggled to get back to $20. It's paid the same dividend the whole time.
But the company's the same.
The company is a better company. It's a better company than it was. But the investors don't, like I said, I haven't quite figured out. There's so many people that just watch what prices are doing and don't understand what businesses are doing. And if prices are going down, they think they should, it's human nature, buy high and sell low. It's just the nature of so many investors that don't have some sort of strategy or educational resource to help them. Like my subscriber, I get a new subscriber, they'll always say, well, what's your stop loss? What are we going to do to keep losing our money? And I go, we're going to buy more shares when the market goes down. The market has recovered from every single bear market that ever happened. And when the next one happens, our expectation is it'll recover again. And while prices are on sale, we're going to buy shares. So we come out the other side richer with more income.
Is there times where you say that this is it? No, we need to get out of this company. Something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
Usually the easiest one is when they cut their dividend. That's the easy one.
So the telling sign is when they cut their dividend.
That's a big telling sign. Although I've got a couple in the portfolio that have cut their dividend recently, but I believe they can turn it around and get back to growing the dividend again. But, and pandemic again was a great example because nobody knew what was going to happen. So a lot of companies suspended dividends, stopped paying dividends. And I mean, some of the ones I was recommending, we sold them. We're not keeping them if they're not paying a dividend. But the flip side of there's so many things on sale. One that a lot of my subscribers still talk about, it's ENLC is the stock symbol, NLink. It was after the pandemic. They did cut their dividend, but they were still paying a 35 cent a share dividend, but their stock price was less than $1.
Wow.
Yeah, and we sold out like 4 years later for $10. So get a few of those. Once in a while you get lucky. But I'd rather not have another pandemic. But, these things happen. Great financial crisis. There's always something out there that will, 2022, big bear market. That was a pretty nasty bear market.
So do you think right now these dividend high yield stocks are not valued as much as they should be? Because the valuations are very high in the market, in the whole market.
But the ones that I have a handful of them that I think could go higher, just because the market thinks about what these companies were 5 years ago, and they don't understand how much they've improved their situation. And we'll see what happens. And again, to a great extent, that's just like bonus money. If one of these, we get a 20 or 30, 50% gain in a stock price, that we can take advantage and then go invest in something else.
And how did you get into the dividend investing?
I was in the 90s, licensed stockbroker, financial planner, sold investments. And then I went, I guess in the mid 90s through early 2000s, worked in other businesses, did some different things. And I found myself living in South America, in Uruguay. And this is 2010-ish. And to help, something changed in the internet. You could get paid for writing content. Companies are out there paying people to write content. You just have a list of titles, and you write the articles and send it in. Then an editor edits it, sends you back, and they deposit money in your checking account. And since I knew about investments, and I wrote a lot about that. And when I moved back to the States in 2013, Investors Alley, who I write for now, they wanted to start a newsletter business, and they found me from my writing on Seeking Alpha and asked if I wanted to start a newsletter. And they go, do you have any ideas? And I go, yeah, I have a few. And so they signed me to a contract in 2014, February of 2014. So this will be our 12th year, 12th anniversary, starting our 13th year of doing this.
Well, that's excellent. Tim Plaehn, it was great to have you.
Well, it was great talking to you guys.